In today's episode, I'm lucky to talk about gel printing with Clare Cosens, a printmaker and mixed media artist who shares her journey from graphic design to gel printing and teaching. Clare discusses her artistic influences, techniques, and the challenges she faces in her creative process. She emphasizes the importance of experimentation and understanding your materials in printmaking. Clare also talks about her teaching experience and the new course she offers, Pushing the Boundaries, aimed at helping artists advance their gel printing skills. Hi, I'm Cindy Jones-Lantier, your host for Beyond the Brayer. I'm a longtime gel printer and the owner of the Gel Print Enthusiast group on Facebook. Before we dive into today's episode with Clare, I'd love to invite you to connect with our community. If gel printing is your thing, and I think it just might be, come join us in the Gel Print Enthusiast group on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, you can follow Beyond the Brayer on Instagram or head over to beyondthebrayer.com for full show notes and all the links. Now, let's talk to Clare. Clare Cosens is a printmaker, mixed media artist, and teacher based in Cheshire, UK. With over a decade of experience, Clare has developed a deep passion for gel printing, exploring and refining techniques that push the boundaries of this versatile medium. Her work transforms the gel plate from a simple mono printing surface into a powerful fine art tool, allowing her to pull multi-layered fine art style prints. Clare delivers printmaking workshops from her home studio where she shares her expertise with students eager to experiment and develop their own creative voice through gel printing. Her love for pattern and surface design shines through in every piece she creates. Inspired by nature, Clare produces a unique range of stationery and homeware products. Each design begins as an original one-off gel plate print, which she then digitally layers to build striking contemporary compositions. These are printed individually onto her products and sold online, as well as showcased at RHS exhibitions. Welcome, Clare. It's so good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, have you always been artistic, or is creativity something that came to you as an adult?
No, I've always been artistic. So went to art college, then went off to from art college to do an apprenticeship in graphic design, and then from there I've been a teacher. So I've always been in the creative industries.
Cool. How did you make the transition from graphic designer to mixed media gel printer, and why?
It wasn't really a transition, really. Even back in art college, printmaking was my thing. But I suppose I was quite bolshy as a teenager and didn't conform. So I was kind of directed down that graphic design where you will get a job kind of path rather than going off to uni and doing surface pattern, which was the two options I had at the time. And then really it kind of, I fell into teaching as I had two young children and I'd been made redundant from my graphic design job after about 10 years. So I was a magazine designer, and I just went to the college where I used to go and was shadowing my old graphic design teacher, and he left, and somebody said, well, can you carry on teaching his group? And then I had to go back and do my teaching degree as well at the same time. So it was quite a journey, really. I kind of fell in at each stage.
How did you get started with gel printing?
So again, love printmaking. I used to go over to Liverpool. It's the closest like print hub where they have all the facilities, and screen printing was my thing. And again, two small children. It's an hour on the train. You've got to lug all your materials there. And I just found I couldn't get there as often as I wanted. I think I was awake about 2:30 in the morning and found gel printing on YouTube or some kind of video, Instagram, whatever it might be, and ordered one and was absolutely hooked because I could do it literally on the kitchen table.
Do you remember that first gel print?
Once I remember the first gel print, I'm still to this day all consumed by the gel printing process. I'm pushing it as much as I can out of it.
Would you describe your print style?
Well, I do love botanicals, and I am inspired by nature, and I do kind of go down a botanical path. But really, my style changes with my mood. So, it's just my brain these days. I think it's part of the menopause, and my brain flits from one thing to another and can't focus for very long. So one minute I'll be doing image transfers because I love photography. The next minute I'll be botanical. The next minute I'm mid-century with a bit of grunge, and again graphic design and typography and signage I'm really still drawn to. So tend to flip between lots of different things.
Do you typically plan your prints or do you work more intuitively?
I try to plan. So again, very much lack of sleep. I will be planning each layer in my head. I even went to, when I was doing the 100-day project, even went to almost designing each layer on visually, and then got in the studio and second layer, and the plan was out the window. So I do try to plan, but I very rarely stick to the plan.
So a bit of both.
Yeah. I think as you start to kind of push it more on the gel plate, you have got to think about your layer order and your colours more. It's not just a case of I'm gonna be able to wing this one. You have got to think about it a little bit more.
True. What's one technique or approach you love using?
Oh, I love them. I love them all. My favourite at the moment, well, I've got two favourites at the moment. One is kind of masking areas off on the gel plate and then flipping the gel plate over to just build layers that way in small blocks. So it's more of creating a mixed media print. The other thing that I'm really enjoying at the moment is combining collagraph printing with the gel plate. So I'm creating a collagraph block and then transferring that onto the gel plate, and then using reverse painting techniques or collage directly onto the gel plate to complete that print.
Can you explain collagraph for people who don't understand what it is or who don't know?
So a traditional collagraph plate is a printing plate that you would make using a collage. So you collage different materials onto a base, and it's a process that you would use a printing press for. So you'd rub the ink into all those creases and marks on your plate, and then you'd lay your paper over and you'd run it through a printing press. So with the gel plate, you can't obviously run it through a printing press. So I've created kind of a way of creating a collagraph and almost using it like a stamp. So you're transferring that image onto the plate. Let me just... So, for example, this is an image that I've created. I don't know whether you can see that, a collagraph plate from. So that collagraph plate is just made up of masking tape in different textures, and then that transfers onto the gel plate.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense.
I'll show you this one as well. I've got another one here. So that's how it translates onto the gel plate. So that's the collagraph,
Oh, nice.
and that's the print from it. Then I've got another one here. So that's a sunflower. So you can see there, all the sunflower is scrunched up masking tape, and this is just layers of paper, and that translates to that on the gel plate.
Beautiful.
So yeah, caught up with both those techniques at the moment. All consumed.
So besides gel printing, you've mentioned photography and collagraph and typography. What kind of art and media do you enjoy?
I enjoy can't draw, or should I say, I have to really practice with drawing, which is why I'm a printmaker. So anything print based, and when I can't translate a sketch or a drawing, the easiest way to do it is through a photograph, because that's how I get over that challenge, really. So I can image transfer parts of architecture or signage. So it's just another way of me being able to create the vision I've got in my head more realistically than if I were to draw it very badly.
So, where do you find the inspiration for your print?
So again, really depends on where I am, what I'm doing at the time. So with the botanicals, I was exhibiting at the RHS shows for multiple years, so trying to grow lots of plants. That all kind of started because I would call myself, I'm whatever the opposite of a botanist is. So I know nothing about plants and I actually kill everything I touch. So that's how it started with the print, with the gel printing, was that I wanted to capture these lovely flowers and plants before I kill them. So that's how that all kind of became. And then as I started doing the RHS shows, that kind of developed. So this is the type of thing, I don't know whether you can see that. So
I've been to your website and I loved your products. Those lampshades are gorgeous.
yeah, so these are all kind of gel printed. So you can kind of really push it. So each one is individually gel printed, and then I digitally get my graphic design background. I can layer to make a pattern swatch that can then transfer onto fabric and things. But then other inspiration, my daughter's just moved to York, so I've kind of been around York Minster, taking lots and lots of pictures, and that's creeping through, because it's not only the architecture of beautiful historic York Minster, but it's covered in scaffolding at the moment because it's being restored. So you've got all these really harsh grids, and people must be think I'm mad because they're all trying to photograph the historic, beautiful part, and I'm there right up to the scaffolding, getting photographs and things. So yeah, it really just depends on where I am and what's there, and I'm instantly kind of, if I'm at a beach, I'll be hanging over the pier, taking pictures of rotten, stinking fishing gear and lobster pots, and it's just whatever grabs my attention at the time.
I was watching some of your YouTube videos and you did a Rex Ray style print on
Yeah.
your 100-day project. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because Rex Ray is really popular right now.
Well, yes, and I'm really disappointed because I had his book in my Amazon wish list, and over in the UK, it's out of print now. So it's like £239 for this book. So I'm really sad that I missed out, because we'd been studying Rex Ray because when we were teaching, we used to do contextual studies. So you would give the students artists to go and look at, and Rex Ray was one of the artists that we looked at. And we're talking, 10, 15 years ago. I was always drawn to it because I love collage. He's really confident with colour, which I'm not. I've got a very kind of narrow colour palette. And I think what caught my attraction to Rex Ray is I seen a little video where it was the scale. And I don't think you appreciate the scale of the images he works on. These collages were like the size of a building, some of them. They were huge. So yeah, I just, again, it's the shape, that mid-century shape, the colours, the layers, the pattern. What's not to love about Rex Ray?
Right, right. I've been enjoying watching lots of artists have been doing tributes to Rex Ray in the past 6 months. And I've really enjoyed watching them.
A fantastic designer.
Yeah, yeah. So what's been one of your biggest aha moments with gel printing?
Well, I've got lots and lots of aha moments. I don't know how long we've got, but I suppose finding what had happened was I was delivering a workshop, and it was an image transfer workshop. and I'd wrote on the back of each image a name, so I knew if I needed to print it off quickly what the file name was that I could go and find. And it stuck to my gel plate. Peeled it off, and there's the name of the image on my gel plate. And I was like, I just didn't know. I didn't know pencil charcoal transferred to the gel plate.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I almost rushed through the workshop. I was just totally, I've got to see if this works. Just wanted to get rid of them, if I'm being totally honest, so I could play and see if it worked. So that was quite a big, like, aha, happy accident moment. Image transfer itself, I'd been struggling for about 4 years. So I could do it through the magazine, no problem. But I had a laser printer and I could get laser prints to transfer, but not to the standard I'd seen other people doing it. And then I took a course with Jane Fays. And what was great about that was she shared, because the problem is when you take online courses, especially with people in different countries, is those materials they're using aren't always available to you in another country. So what she did is she described the paper she was using, so how smooth it was and how it had a surface on, so that the toner in the laser printer sat on the top rather than being absorbed. And it was actually two very small changes. It was a change of paint and that change of paper that I was printing the laser copies on, and then hey presto, and it was just like doors just opened. It was magical, really. That whole being able to transfer my own photographs was just fantastic. So yeah, I owe a lot to Jane.
That's really interesting, because I run the Gel Print Enthusiast group on Facebook, and so I can let people in, and I ask them questions to be let in.
Yeah.
And inevitably, people who are brand new beginners want to excel at laser transfers, because it's an eye-catching technique. I understand why.
Yeah.
But just knowing, and I tell them that there's so many variables that it's a hard process to teach, actually.
It is. And I have people come to in-person workshops here at my studio, and you know, I often have people that come and they've never even heard of a gel plate, and I'm like, wow, you've picked the hardest possible technique out of the lot to come and do. And I do about 5 different workshops, and I'm like, you sure you don't want to transfer onto one of these other ones, because it will really help you first? And they always say no, we'll be fine, we'll just give it a go. And in all fairness, they always do produce really good image transfers, but I'm there over the shoulder saying, too much paint, not enough paint, pull it now, don't pull it now. And they get home and I often have emails afterwards to say, yeah, really struggling with this process. Because there's just so many variables to it.
There are to gel printing in general, but laser
Yeah.
printing transfers especially.
Laser printing is just so much more fickle.
Yes. Are there any techniques or tools that you found tricky to master
So
besides the laser prints?
Yeah, like I say with the laser print, the collagraph to begin with, because it was all about getting the right pressure. Because the thing with a collagraph is you've got different layers of paper and materials on your plate, and you want them to touch and not touch the gel plate, so you get different levels of tone on your gel plate. So that was a bit tricky at first. I'm just really heavy-handed. So I'd be watching people on YouTube and they'd just kind of gently rub over it. But obviously for me, I'm too heavy-handed and was pulling too much paint off. So I figured out I need to use like a book and just press down with a book so I'm getting an even pressure. And that way I'm not so heavy-handed with it.
Well, that's a good tip. So let's do a rapid fire round.
Okay.
Okay, ghost prints or first pulls?
Ghost prints. It's all about the detail for me. especially with
Yeah.
botanicals. Not interested in them silhouettes really. It's that detail that's left from the botanical.
What's your favorite color combination to print with?
Or anything with Payne's Grey. I'm obsessed with Payne's Grey. It changes from each brand, and I think I have Payne's Grey in every brand. And it's got to be on the blues greens spectrum, so it's often blue grey or green grey. Love a bit of turquoise and teal, but things like pink scares me. It's kind of a common in the workshops, and they'll go, "Oh, Claire, go on, use pink, Claire," and I'm like, "No, oh, can't use pink. I love pink, can't print with pink." It's weird. I am quite scared of colours.
That's interesting, and it reminds me, and then we'll get back to the rapid fire, that you say you love pink, but you can't print with it. Is it that the art I like to look at is not the art I like to make? So it's kind of that same
Yeah,
thing. Okay, brayer, brush, or fingers?
Brayer.
Something weird you've printed with?
Don't know whether it's weird, but leeks. I remember my mum dropping a bag of veg off when she was going on holiday, and she's like, "Oh, make some soup." And I'm like, "I'm not going to make soup. I'm going to print with them." If you cut a leek in half, the line work you get is absolutely amazing. It almost looks like a wood grain.
Oh yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Poo
So,
bags. If you know anyone that's got a dog, the middles out of poo bags, I stick them together to make like little circle stamps and things. I'll print with absolutely anything.
a true gel printer spoken. So, studio must have coffee, tea, music, wine, silence.
Now, I've listened to all your other podcasts, so I've given this a lot of thought. And I thought, should I lie because I sound really boring? But actually, nothing at all. That's the truth. No music, no chat, no coffee, tea. I could take it, but I wouldn't drink it. I literally just get completely consumed when I'm printing. I don't.
That's interesting because for me to get completely consumed, because we're all different, for me to be completely consumed, I have to have loud music because it just blocks everything else out. Music that I know really well, so I'm not really listening to it,
Yeah.
and that helps me block everything out and really get into the printing.
Yeah. But for me, it's silence. And then I kind of have to then come away from the studio, and then I'll sit and have a coffee and process what I've done and how I'm going to take it further. So yeah, I don't actually have anything in the studio at all. Obviously for
Wow.
workshops, there's tea, coffee, biscuits. They all get the nice goodies. But when I'm in there, it's strictly printing.
I know you teach a course called Pushing the Boundaries. Can you tell us a little bit about that course and how someone can get on the wait list?
Yeah, so it's really new. We are in week 4 at the moment. So it's a 10-week course, and it's based on 3 modules. So the course is pushing the boundaries. So it's not a basics course. It's you need to have a really good understanding of gel printing, and it's about them pushing it and taking it further. So we do that unit that I just showed with the collograph and the gel plate, and then unit 2 is image transfer, and we do reverse painting and collaging directly onto the gel plate to do the image transfer. And then we do what's called like a double exposure style, where we'll put in one image, then doing another laser print with the other. So for example, say it's text and then a building, the building takes on the shape, is filled with the text. Does that make sense? It's like a double
Yeah, I think
exposure.
I understand. Yeah.
So that's module 2. And then module 3 is the botanical, because that's what I'm kind of most well known for, and that's what people want to know, the secrets of how I'm getting that amount of detail from my botanicals.
So how can someone get on the wait list?
So it's registration's closed until early next year. But you can go on my website and go onto the online course, and you can see all the information about the course, and on there there's a waitlist button.
It sounds really exciting. I didn't find out about it until too late to sign up for it, but it sounds like a really exciting course.
It's challenging. I think the general consensus at the moment is everyone's having a great time, and lots of gorgeous prints coming out, but it is quite challenging and time consuming because it's lots of techniques that you can't do in a face-to-face workshop because it takes hours to dry. So it's good, and yeah, I think I made it for me, if I'm being honest, because it was the course I was looking for.
Well, they
So that's what
say
it kind of came about.
they say to write the book you want to read. So
Yeah. But if in the meantime, if anybody wants a free little workshop, sign up to my newsletter, and there's a free mini course, mastering the Wample print. So that's free to sign up to the newsletter, and I've got lots of videos. Well, not lots. I only started in January, but there's quite a few techniques on YouTube as well, um, that I put on there. So they're available for everybody to have a watch.
you started your channel in January? Wow, I thought it was older. I didn't go back to look at the early videos, but I just assumed it was older than that.
No, I have a big fear of cameras, if I'm being honest. To the point where I never had a photographer at my own wedding because there's no photographs of me in the house anywhere, and it was actually I was part of like a supportive group, and to push the business forward, they said, if you want to do this, you're going to have to go on YouTube. So I find it really, really challenging to do. But I'm getting there. The more I do it, the easier it is. And there's no way I would have done this a couple of years ago.
Well, I'm glad you've come out of your shell.
It's just kind of the way the industry's gone, and almost it forces you to do it. You can't find people hidden away anymore, can you? So
No, you really can't. Gone are the days of being discovered at a craft fair.
well, yeah, and I think that was I've done my fair share of standing for 12 hours in the rain. I don't want to do that anymore. So it's kind
Yeah.
of I do very much less of my own design work and making products now, and more of the teaching. I am a teacher. I've been fighting it for 15 years, and I just have to accept I'm a teacher.
So, teacher, what advice would you share with someone just starting out gel printing?
Lots of beginners come on workshops, and it's just about playing. It's about knowing your own. I don't recommend anyone goes out and buys a load of supplies. Just get to know what you've already got. And I think that's why the workshops are so successful, because they'll be printing and they'll say, Claire, will this colour work? And I'll go, no, that green won't cover that purple. And it's just because I know pretty much every paint in my box, and I've got lots of paint, but I know how every paint in my box is going to respond, and there's no shortcut to that.
No, there
There
really
really
isn't.
isn't. You know, and a good tip that I would advise as well is start a recipe book, just like you would if you were baking a cake, but do it for prints. And I literally write the combination of paints I've used and the order of them. And then, say if I'm using images or magazines, I'll write what magazine it was from, and again in what order it goes down. And because that's the other thing is you're printing and printing and printing, and you will do 5 prints that aren't successful, and one will come off that's amazing, and then you'll go, oh, but I can't remember what I did.
Hmm.
So it's good to kind of keep a record of what you're doing as you go along, and that way you've always got something. If you think, oh well, I'm looking to recreate that again, right? How did I do it?
That's an excellent idea. I love that idea. And you mentioned that the paint colors, writing down the order that you use them in. I find that to be so important because you can use the same 3 or 4 paints in different orders and get totally different vibes.
And the thing as well, might be a little bit controversial with other gel printers as well, but I think the whole opaque and transparent is completely misunderstood. So it's either misunderstand it, but the way we use paints on the way I use paints on the gel plate is very, very thin. So actually my opaques are not opaque.
Right.
They very rarely completely block out what's underneath. So again, it's understanding that, because people just think, right, I've got an opaque gold, I'm going to put the opaque gold over the dark green, and then wonder why they're just making a muddy mess, because the gold isn't standing out against the dark green, because it isn't, the thinness that you're using it, it's not as opaque as you think it is.
That's an excellent point.
So, for example, you were talking about the Rex Ray. On the Rex Ray, to get those shapes opaque, I had to put 4 layers of colour down in the same place to build that opacity.
That's really interesting. I'm glad you pointed that out.
So yeah,
Sorry,
go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and that's when you're starting out, you just look at the paint and say, oh, well, I've seen it on YouTube, I need opaque or I need a transparent. But what I actually look at is all my paints is some level of transparency. And again, it's just getting to know what paints are then and how they're gonna react with each other.
That's an excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. That's something that I know intuitively, but I forget to say because I've been gel printing for 12 years now. So like you said, I know my paints, and when I get a new color of paint, a new brand of paint, I go back to the basics and make one color prints and stencil prints and just very basic to get to know how it reacts.
That's another good tip is because some people make swatches with the paints, but again, how you apply the paint with a brush is different with how you apply it on a gel plate. So I actually do almost make swatches on the gel plate, but then overlap them to see how one colour is going to respond with the other. So I'm almost like building up a swatch, but doing it on the gel plate rather than just swatches of colour.
I saw you do that with, I think, the Rex Ray video.
I think it was Rex Ray. And in the end, that influenced my choice of colours, because the orange next to the green didn't work. So right. it influenced how and then I dropped the green, and I think I brought a grey and neutral colour in instead of the green. But it influenced how I was going to use those colours within the print.
That's excellent. That alone is worth listening to the podcast for. Your tips for beginners. Claire, I just want to thank you so much for joining me. I have really enjoyed chatting with you.
Oh, and you.
And I look forward to seeing what you do next. I'll include links to your website and your YouTube channel and your Instagram, Facebook, all of those links in the show notes. And I really encourage people to look at the show notes. They're on beyondthebrayer.com, because Apple and Spotify and most other podcast distribution things don't allow us enough room to put full show notes. Like Apple allows us 4,000 characters. So anyway, that's for the listeners. I really do encourage you to go check out show notes. So again, Claire, it's been wonderful to talk to you, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
That was such an interesting discussion I had with Claire. She said a few things that changed the way I look at my own supplies. I love her ideas of swatching your colors and keeping a log of what you do. I think both are especially important while you're learning about your supplies. My name is Cindy Jones-Lantier, and you've been listening to Beyond the Brayer, the only podcast that rolls out the messy, magical world of gel print artists one layer at a time. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Podchaser. Tell your friends and come back next week for another encouraging conversation. You can visit the website at beyondthebrayer.com for full show notes, useful links, and contact information. Until next week, keep that brayer rolling.